Hey guys, and welcome back to the Totally Random Talk Show. So, as you know, we are doing a three-part mini series about music and how incredible it is in our lives. So, our first episode that we did was about music genres, and this next episode will be about instruments,
Oh
the best of the
boy.
best. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started. And also, um, we have a special treat at the end, so make sure to stay tuned for that as well.
Yes. You will want to listen to it all.
It's definitely worth it. Alrighty. Max, do you want to go ahead and tell us our first instrument of the day?
Yes. All right. So this first instrument is probably the most I guess I'm trying to think of a good word for this.
Versatile?
Versatile is probably the best word to describe this instrument. And it has lots of keys because it's the piano. Um
Huh.
if you don't know, a piano works by inside the piano there's these little hammers that hit different pitched strings when you hit down the keys, and they play all of the sounds that you hear on a piano. So yeah,
A lot of people consider it a string instrument because it has strings in it.
it's also like kind of not.
Yeah, because like the piano has its own sound. You got to think if you're gonna like I don't know, pluck a string on a cello, it's gonna sound different from a piano because you're not plucking the piano string.
Mhm.
You're hitting it with a tiny hammer.
In fact, that kind of makes it a percussion instrument because you're hitting it with a hammer, technically.
It does.
So it's kind of in its own category, I guess, because it is
Hmm.
so versatile. You can play practically anything. You can adapt. Well, really, for any instrument, you could adapt a piece to be able to play it. But with piano, you can kind of just play it without
Adapt to
having to
anything.
adapt it too much. Because with some, like it'd be out of range of the instrument. The piano has such a large range that you can mostly play anything you want to.
Mhm. And I mean, a piano is a very fundamental instrument, right? Because like, um, it allows you to play something with typically like a very wide range of notes at a lot more of a simple dynamic, right? Because it's just one person that has to play a song. Whereas you would need several people playing a flute to play the same song
Hmm.
to make it at least sound the same. If that makes sense. And I mean,
Yeah.
people use pianos for other things too. Like if you want to find your pitch for like if you're singing, you're like, am I a tenor or a bass? I want to find out. You can use a piano for that. You can use a flute too, or like I don't know, a violin if you're really high pitched. If you wanted to do that, I guess you could, but like a piano, it's just the easiest way to do that.
Yeah.
So, um, another fun fact about pianos, 88 keys, typically, at least.
Yes. Unless you have like a, I don't know, toy piano.
A little baby piano, like it's got like six keys on it, and you're like,
Or like even better, you've got one with two keys. Or
oh my
well,
gosh.
there was one. There's this video where this guy made, I think it was three keys because it had two white keys and one black key, and so he just went like he can't play very much with three keys.
Oh wow. That sounds amazing. I would play that.
If you've ever, if you ever go on YouTube, you should look up. I can't. I'm trying to remember what. Let me just find it. Let me just find
I
the guy
mean,
that
if
made
you
the
had a
videos.
5 key piano, you could play like the what is that one song? It's like the da 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 da.
Three
I
Blind
don't know.
Mice,
Yeah.
or it's
Well, no,
also
it's
another
not that.
thing, but or Hawk. Wait, no.
Yeah,
What
hot
was it?
cross buns.
It is Hot Cross Buns and Three Blind Mice. They're
Yeah,
the same thing. It's so weird.
except like Three Blind Mice kind of goes on its own thing after that little part.
That's true,
Like
I guess. but like like just from the da da da, they're
Yeah, I think
basically
hot cross buns came from Three Blind Mice.
okay. Anyways, really quick, on YouTube, this guy Matthias Krantz made a piano that is all E, just all
Oh
pitched to E,
yes.
one that has a bunch of hammers, a bunch of crazy other stuff. He's straight up made so many crazy pianos. It's insane.
Literally the best.
He put bass strings on a piano. How does how? Oh, and then piano strings on a guitar. This guy's insane. Oh, uh, you're muted.
Hmm.
Okay. What were you saying?
Oh, hello. This is confusing. Wait, I'm not muted anymore, right?
You're good now.
Okay. That's weird because I didn't mute myself.
Hmm.
Technology is joy. Um, so I actually didn't say anything. I just
Uh,
said, yeah, I agree.
okay. I was like, well, he's saying something important. We got to know.
I was actually going to recite the Declaration of Independence.
It's a good thing to know if you want to know why we wanted to be independent from
Not just the
Great
preamble,
Britain.
the entire thing,
The, at
all of
that
it.
point, you should have been there to sign it.
Yeah, it's true.
It's too bad. You're
Maybe
a
I was.
few hundred years. Wait, you're th- you're the one that signed your name super big, so everyone would, you know, everyone would see it.
Let me just sign it really big on the paper so everyone else has
John
to write it really
Hancock,
tiny and small. It's gonna be perfect. Maybe they might have to write on the back.
Mr. Washington, you must sign this small gestures with like I don't know the size of like a what tiny thing. What I can't just. How do you describe
A quarter piece.
a quarter of a quarter?
No, a quarter piece. You know, like
A
how
quarter
back in
piece.
the
Oh,
day they
okay.
they had like coins. What they would do is cut them in half to be like each
Oh
one is like
yeah, yeah,
essentially half of it. They cut it like a pie, right? That's how
yeah,
they did it back in the day. You could be like this small, like that's
yeah.
pretty small.
See, it's hard to describe when you'd be listening to the podcast. You can't visually
Yeah.
see what I'm doing, so I have to think about it. But anyways, so yeah, the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'm gonna tie this back into the instruments. Um, so wait, let me gather my thoughts. Okay, so the piano is an instrument that's very versatile. One genre of music that you can play on the piano is classical music. And classical music was very popular and very prominent in the time period that the founding fathers of America signed the Declaration of Independence and sent it to Great Britain to declare their independence. So classical music is pretty important. Pretty sure it's one of the main reasons that they decided to go away from Great Britain. They wanted new music like rock and roll, but don't quote me on that.
Mic drop. We need like a soundboard so we can do like the cool sounds and stuff.
I'll just edit it afterwards. It'll be all sad.
Yay! Like there's the applause, the canned laughter
Yay.
and stuff, canned
Yeah, well,
applause.
we make our own sound effects here. Bottom. There was no joke, but that's a sound effect we can make.
Thunder sound effect.
Rain. A dog barking. Woof woof. Yeah, yeah. I'd say I'm a pretty good impressionist when it comes to animal sounds. Here's a tortoise. Isn't it pretty good?
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Wait, ready? Moo.
That where did Trayson go? He got replaced by a cow.
Exactly.
But okay. See, wait, I'm trying to think of a way to connect this back to instruments. We've gone too far.
Cows wear bells. Cowbells. They're an instrument too.
Bingo. But that's not the next instrument we're going to talk
And
about.
Bingo was his name. Oh,
That's the
oh
dog, though.
copyright. Oh no.
Yeah, I know. And Roscoe was his name. E.
Roski
Use
was his name.
you use another vowel because
There we go.
okay. Anyways, do you have anything else to say about pianos?
Mm, not particularly, just that it's kind of like the main instrument, I'd say,
That
for
yeah, I guess most
most
people
everything
think about.
else, if you think about it. But yeah,
Depends on what you play though.
yeah, it really does. Because some people would be like, no, the cello was first, you
Piano.
imbecile.
Cringe.
So cringy.
We got what we got contrabass gang over here. If you don't know, that's like a super low bass, by the way. It's like literally the size of two people.
Yeah,
That's
we're
not our
better.
next topic, but I can connect it to our next topic. See, um, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because I hope you can connect it.
I'm thinking what you're thinking, I think.
Hopefully. Okay, let's see how this goes. Why don't you introduce it? I'll telepathically send my thoughts to your
Okay,
mind.
okay. Let me just gather my own thoughts as well. Now, just like how during the chime the piano was created, if you know how it was created. I don't want to go into detail about it though. Basically, someone made a piano. At the same time, people were experimenting with strings and pitch. And with those strings and pitch came many different instruments of string quality. And the first is the guitar.
La guitarra.
That's not the first instrument they made of strings, but it is the first one we'll talk about today. Along
Yes.
with the ukulele, which goes along just the same way.
Just kind of similar, just a smaller version with different genres of music that are played.
Yeah, four strings instead of six, higher pitch and lower quality sound, I'd say, for the most part.
Yes. You received my telepathic
Was that
thoughts
what you were thinking
well
about?
about well, yeah, along the lines of that pianos have strings and so do
Oh, okay.
guitars, and you connected it
I
well.
wanted to reach back to the roots and just pluck the strings a little bit, you know?
Yeah. But so yeah, as we said before, guitars and ukuleles are kind of similar with different number of strings. But there's also different kinds of guitars because there's like acoustic guitars and electric guitars, and then there's like flamenco guitars, which are specifically Spanish.
Mhm.
So they sound different. You play them slightly different. It's like still the same bass instrument, but it's different. So I think
You
it's
also
interesting how
you
there's
have a
different
big
ones.
slew of bass guitars as well, which
It's
those are
true.
like a very deep sounding.
And they have four strings. So,
Mhm.
but most people would, a lot of people would say bass guitars shouldn't be called guitars. It's just bass
Yeah,
because
it basically is.
basically, yeah, uh, basically, yeah.
It's I'm sorry, that's like it's too perfect. So yeah, guitars are really cool though. If you've ever seen like the videos of people making guitars and violins and cool instruments like that, like it takes them a long time and they put so much effort into making them. It's like really incredible. That's why they're usually so expensive,
Yeah.
is because it just takes such a long time. And you also
Yes.
got to make sure it's sturdy enough to withstand like the string um like pressure, I guess you could say, or like the tautness of it,
Mhm.
so that it makes the sound and it vibrates well. So, pretty cool.
Yeah. One other Okay, so going back to videos you should watch on YouTube. Um, there are some videos where people will make custom electric guitars where like there was one I saw where they had a bunch of colored pencils and they put them in resin and then they like made it into the guitar. So it was like just a bunch of like colored pencils. There's a bunch of
That's
them that are like
cool.
guitars, and then there's also kind of the same idea but with skateboards. So like people just making it out of random stuff, but it looks really cool. So there's lots of cool guitars out there. But even just a good old classic acoustic guitar is very finely crafted and takes a lot of work to make. So yeah,
And it
if it's a good one.
has a really nice sound.
Hmm.
Now, another cool thing, and this isn't about guitars, but about the ukulele, in fact, is that the ukulele is typically more known as an instrument of the islands. So the Pacific Islands of Hawaii and New Zealand and islands over that way, right? I don't know if this would actually be a good thing to research, but I don't know if they got ukuleles when um, people started to explore the world or if they had them before they were visited by like people from Europe and America. I'm curious as
Okay,
to
so actually, here's an interesting thing. So let me find it. So, just from Wikipedia, here's what it says. Developed in the 1880s, the ukulele is based on several small guitar-like instruments of Portuguese origin. And it lists a few of them. But it was introduced to the Hawaiian Islands by Portuguese immigrants. So, so I'd say it's it
in a
started
way
in a way it's it's Portuguese, but mostly I'd say it's
it was
associated with
inspired.
Hawaii because they probably changed it over time. You know, they have this instrument introduced and made it their own, adapted the music to be their own culture, and now it's
Hmm.
associated with Hawaii and places like Hawaii too, Pacific Islands. But yeah, I think
Which
that's
is pretty cool.
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Um, so yeah, that's mostly all I have to say about those two instruments. I don't know if you have any other
Yeah,
brilliant things to say.
that's about it.
Okay, now let's see if you can merge these next two topics. I'm curious.
All right, let's. I gotta think for a minute here. So, okay, this is gonna be kind of a stretch, but just bear with me here, okay? So, guitars and bass guitars too, both can be used to play lots of different music, and a lot of the time you'll have a bass guitar in funk or jazz or things like that. And another instrument that is prominently in the jazz genre is the saxophone.
I can't do it with my mouth.
Yeah. Now,
Just pretend that was a saxophone.
I wonder when the saxophone was invented.
It's a great question, actually.
Let's see. All right, you ready for this? Okay. Belgian-born inventor Adolf Sax invented initially. Um, okay, so he almost invented 14 instruments. What? How did and hold up, I gotta read. I just saw something in this article that I need to read. Okay, his
Hang
initial
on.
designs were crafted from wood, which makes which kind of makes sense. So he was trying to make an instrument that combined a clarinet, which is an easier to play woodwind instrument,
Hmm.
with lots of so like easy to play and easy to do the fingering of, but it's kind of I don't know, it's weird because now it's brass and it's also probably harder than he intended to play. Because like I guess once you get good at it, you could probably have an easier time getting even better. I feel like that's with
Yeah.
any instrument, but it's one of those instruments where a lot of people feel like it's hard to get into. And so they usually have to play like clarinet first or practice a lot to be able to play it.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that is kind of interesting. I didn't even know that.
yeah, I didn't know any of it either.
Congratulations, Adolf Sachs, for being so cool.
The saxophone named after him. I guess I should have assumed that, but
I guess so. But yeah, saxophones are very much used in jazz music. I think originally before that they were kind of incorporated in just normal bands in general.
they still
But
are.
and yeah, they still are to this day. But most people, when they hear the word saxophone, they think, oh, jazz. Because typically, jazz music would have a saxophone soloist to just kind of go off and do a little jazz like solo. And I mean, they would have jazz solos with every instrument, but it was most commonly like a saxophone player or something
Mhm.
like that to do the solo, just because people liked the sound of the saxophone. So I think it's just more of the iconic instruments in the jazz genre, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So that is kind of interesting.
Mhm. And I think too with the saxophone, since there's multiple types of saxophones with different ranges that sound different, you can kind of like in a way make a band on your own with just saxophones, right? Usually in a jazz band they'll have some trombones and trumpets and some percussion, and then maybe like an upright bass and a bass guitar sometimes.
Hmm.
And on top of that, they'll have a tenor saxophone, bari sax, oh, what soprano maybe, and an alto sax. There's a few other types that I can't remember, but those are like the main ones they have,
Yeah, those are the ones that are
which are
most
like
commonly used.
which just different ranges. And so I think that's interesting because it like because of the range you have with different saxophones and you have different people playing them, you could have like a full band from just a few people. So
That's
yeah,
true.
it's pretty
Although it
cool.
would be weird if you were like going up octaves with like a saxophone, you would have to trade off at some point with another person playing another saxophone. Can you imagine that?
That's true.
That would be
Yeah.
so difficult, I feel like.
I guess the range is
Possible.
pretty large though, where you can kind
Yeah.
of like reach some of the notes from the other instruments, but not all of them. Like, yeah, but yeah, it's kind of like one of those instruments I feel like that is so versatile, kind of like piano, where it is used a
Hmm.
lot in jazz, but it's also like in every school band in our wind
Hmm.
symphony and symphonic band, they have saxophones because they're needed.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of saxophones because they just add that
and
needed.
people love it.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, saxophones are a really cool instrument. Plus, you can do the coolest solos on a saxophone. Although trumpet solos, I feel like don't get enough like appreciation because those are pretty cool too.
Mhm.
And trombones, you know, just any brass instrument, woodwind, like they have really cool solos if you do it right.
And French horn, crazy.
Mm,
You put your hand like kind of well, I don't know exactly why. Okay, but you put your hand inside of the front of the instrument.
like,
Okay, let's
wait,
figure this out.
inside it? Hang on.
So, okay, so like I guess you'd have to look up a picture of somebody playing French horn, but you basically
Hmm,
put your hand inside of the French horn. And okay, so let's see. Um,
that sounds
yeah,
interesting,
why do
actually.
okay, so let's see. The instrument is built with the expectation that you will put your right hand in the it's called the bell, I guess. So that's the opening of the instrument where the sound comes out and everything like that. So then there's stuff like that. And then it also helps you predict where the sound will go. So you kind of kind of angle. I guess you can control the sound better by putting your hand in. So the instrument is built to do that, I guess. And I never knew that, but that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that is. I didn't even know that either. So, huh? The more you know.
No, no copyright.
That isn't copyright. That's just something I said. Thank
But
you
it's
very
a
much.
catchphrase. You better be
The more you have the knowledge of.
that you acquire.
Yes, indeed.
Good job.
Well, I don't know if you have anything else to say about les saxophones.
Nope.
Alrighty. Um, this one shouldn't be too hard to connect. Um, but I think a good way to connect it would be, um, the saxophone plays a very nice, smooth melody. And something else that plays a very smooth melody is the flute. I guess it could also play something choppy as well, like staccato and very like abrupt if you wanted to, but like it's usually more of a smooth sounding thing
Yeah.
for
I'd
the most part, I'm
I'd
pretty
say
sure.
yes, it's one of the well, I think it's the highest pitched in let me just find out.
Highest pitched woodwind instrument. I think yeah, it is. I'd hope it is. So,
No, nothing's loading. It's fine.
no.
I think it is because I'm trying to think of how it's arranged. In the band, um, the flutes are in the very front, in the middle. It's kind of like a fan shape. So you've got like in the back, you've got tubas, trombones, and trumpets from left to right, and then you've got maybe a few more trumpets and stuff, and then like saxophones, clarinets, and I th- and there's a few others like oboe and
Hmm.
bassoon or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then and French horn. But then like the flutes are in the very front, so I think they are the highest pitched.
Hmm. Which would make sense because they are very high pitched if you've ever heard a flute.
There are also low flutes, but those are different ones. And then there's like pan flutes and stuff where you like,
Oh, those ones are cool.
yeah,
Although they're not really in bands very much.
well, yeah, but if you had like I don't know, like a Christmas special concert or
A
something,
pan flute would be like reed pipes or something like that.
well, yeah, that's
I
true.
mean, that's the same thing, isn't it?
You're like playing some fancy.
It's kind of like a harmonica if you think about it, just a different sound.
Yeah,
Same concept, but
it's just
yeah.
I don't even know how to describe it, but
I
it's
think the funny
fine.
thing is the flute is typically like when you think of woodwind instruments, like a lot of people that don't play instruments will think the flute probably first, which that's not me being biased. That's just something I've noticed. I thought the same way when I didn't really like instruments when I was like 5 years old. So like, there was that time in my life where, but it was funny. Um, Another thing I'd like to point out, the dollar store sells flutes, right? We we all would know this, I'm assuming. But the problem with dollar store flutes is they're more of a well, one, they
A
have a really crappy
recorder.
sound.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's more of a recorder than a flute. They call it a flute, but it's not a flute. It makes like a weird, crappy clarinet sound, but not even a clarinet at all. Like it's it's not even as high pitched as a flute. It's just not.
recorders just okay. Well, I don't want to start any fights here, but recorders just a plastic flute.
Yeah, it really is. Flutes are made of wood, typically. Some of
Well,
them steel
now it's like
or
brass, yeah. I think,
brass,
or
not
well,
steel, brass.
what
Yeah.
what are flutes made of usually? Let's see. Yeah, or okay, so there's a type of wood that some are made of, but I say a lot you see in the bands are now made of like copper, nickel, silver, or gold, like a mixture, I guess. It'd
Yeah.
probably be silver though. Um, because depending on the metal that you use, it changes the sound slightly. So if you have like a wood one, it changes the sound of what it is.
It gives it more of an earthy sound, if that makes sense. So kind of exotic, but like I guess yeah, they all have different sounds when you think about it, like on a molecular structure level, but that's like really scientific. And I'm not
Yeah.
going to talk about that because it would probably get really repetitive really fast. So flutes are really cool instruments though. Like, yeah, they're considered a woodwind and they're kind of just bunched up in the whole slew of it, like with the clarinet and everything else. People are like, oh, they're the same thing. They do the same thing. But they actually don't at all. Like they're all very
Yeah.
different in their own way.
Although they can be made out of the same wood. I just figured that
Yeah.
out. But but yeah, they do different things. Every instrument is different. They have their own uses. Sure, they can
Hmm.
play like the same things, but that's if you get lazy. Like, sure, you can play Megalovania on any any instrument,
Exact. Yeah.
but should you? Maybe not. It probably wouldn't sound quite as good as on one instrument as it would on another.
Yeah. Like if you were to play, I don't know, Furelise on the reed pipes, it would sound really stupid.
What's I
It would sound really stupid.
play the wrong note? Uh, you accidentally are playing it upside down, and it's like, why does it sound so weird? It's like you're like,
I won't play.
whoops, whoops.
My mouth hurts.
I wonder if you could. Well, okay, this is
I don't
really
think.
random, and it kind of goes back to saxophone, but really, really random tangent. Melodica, if you ever have heard that, can
Oh yeah,
sometimes sound like saxophone. It's a piano that you play with your mouth. It's like kind of like a harmonica of sorts.
it's the best.
I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but back to flutes.
Flutes are cool. I like them.
Nice.
Wow. They're no, they're rad.
Have
They're
you
cool.
ever wanted to play an instrument but don't know how? Come,
Yes.
come to flute teaching extravaganza with flautists from all over in the flute world.
Wow.
Please bring uh what wait, they wouldn't have a flute, never mind. Um,
I took their 8-week program and now I can play the flute.
but he plays it like really, really bad. And then,
It's like
hey
the really
kid, that's a recorder. But but
but they told me it was a flute.
they sold it to me for $300.
Yeah, that costed $2, buddy.
He's like, that was my entire savings. 8 weeks for this.
Boo.
No refunds at flautists flute extravaganza from flautists around the world. I can't even remember what I said, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. Flautists.
Also, can we get over can't get over the fact that someone who plays the flute is a flautist or a flutist.
Flautist.
Flautist.
Just like how people that play the piano are a pianist.
And then wait, what about like someone who plays like the tuba? What do you call someone who plays?
You're a tubist. I don't know.
A tubaist, a tubist, or a
A
tuba
tubist.
player, or how
Tuba
about
player.
let's see, French horn,
Frenchie.
Frenchy.
I don't know.
Oh, they're just a horn player or a hornist.
Oh,
That kind of sounds weird.
hornist?
Let's see
That's a
what
little
else.
weird.
And then there's like clarinetist, right? No, yes, a clarinetist. What? Who came?
Clarinetist?
Who
Why
came
isn't
up
it
with
like a
these?
clarinist or something?
Why not
That
like
rules
I
it.
don't know, a dentist? But
But
but what does the suffix ist
wait,
mean?
technically couldn't. Okay, so if you think about it, okay, anything that makes a sound is an instrument, right? Anything that has a pitch, right,
Yeah.
could be classified as an instrument. Does this mean that the little suction tube at the dentist office that they put in your mouth is an instrument?
Yes.
So it changes pitch because like go like they turn it on, it's like, and then like it goes in your mouth, it's like it makes like a weird
And then
sound.
they've got the other tools. They're like,
It changes pitch. Close your mouth, please.
okay, well, really quick, thinking about the suffix ist. If you don't know, suffix is like what you add on to
I'm
the end of a
sorry.
word. Ist would be um like one that performs an action. So a dentist is someone who works
Someone
with
who
teeth.
dents.
Well, because dente is Latin, I think. Well, I think it's dente because
Yeah.
dentist root words. Because in Spanish, at least, los dientes are teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, here's from French dentiste, dentiste. I don't know how to say anything in French, so just forget everything I
I
said.
don't know. Yeah.
I only know Spanish. But from dent, which is tooth, from Latin dens. So so dentist is just a tooth professional. I guess
Hmm.
when you just add is onto the end of something, right? Because you could do it with anything. I could be
Yeah.
an essayist if I write an essay. I could be a homeworkist. No, just
Homeworkist.
no, no, a home worker.
Homeworker.
That's a different meaning though. I could be well, there's a typist, but
That's true.
then there's the worst ones like racist. You don't want to
No,
be
you
that.
don't want to be that.
I'd much rather be a saxophonist.
How dare you be waterist?
I only drink
Fiji water.
yeah, I only drink Fiji water.
Icelandic is better.
Dasani is the worst, and we can agree.
This is true.
In fact, the entire market for Dasani in the UK failed for a few reasons, but yeah, basically it failed. So,
They hate Dasani there.
yes, like literally they despise it.
Yeah, for good reason.
Oh, and in the Philippines, they hate Pepsi because Pepsi did this contest where they had like specific bottle cap, like specific cap numbers, I guess, on their bottle caps that like if you had it, they were like lottery numbers and you'd win some
Oh
money.
yeah.
And then they accidentally printed a bunch of them that were winning ones, but they weren't meant to be winning numbers. And so
Uh,
like millions of people in the Philippines saw that they had the winning cap. And then they like tried to sue them for it and stuff, and it didn't go well. So now Pepsi isn't
oh,
even really like sold there. And if you mention Pepsi, I'm pretty sure
they're
you'd
like, we
get
hate Pepsi.
deported.
Oh my gosh.
It's like literally became a political issue. It's like that's what
Wow, I never
happens
knew soda could be
when
so.
you don't check what numbers you put on a cap. Be
You
careful,
should check
kids.
your numbers always. We're talking to you,
Check
Pepsi.
yourself before you wreck yourself.
Facts.
And also, it did lose them a lot of money, so
That's
that's
true.
unfortunate.
Okay.
But
So
I don't know
back to
what else to say
flutes.
about
There's
flutes.
not much else to say about flutes. So, alrighty. Do you think you can combine these two?
Oh, ooh, this one's gonna be a bit rough. Give me 1 second, okay? Because I
Okay.
gotta make sure I got my facts right.
Okay.
Yeah,
While you're doing that, I want to talk about mac and cheese. For starters, Spiral mac and cheese is literally the most incredible mac and cheese you're ever gonna have in your life, and no one can tell me otherwise except for Velveeta, which
Okay,
Velveeta
I'm
is
good.
amazing.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Your
thank you.
time with mac and cheese is up, but that was
Oh man.
very wonderful. We might need to talk about that later. Call
That's
me
why I
after
did
the
like a super
podcast.
super speedy rant about mac
Yes.
and cheese.
Okay.
Okay.
So flutes have a very high pitch, right?
Mhm.
And just like flutes have a high pitch, there's another instrument that can have a high pitch, and that is violin. Now, this is kind of a joint one. We're going to talk about violin and viola. And there's a difference between them because viola has a lower pitch. It's a slightly different instrument.
Mhm.
And anyone you ask, except for violists, will
Vi-
say that violists? Wait, what?
Violinist, that's for violin.
What?
Violist.
What
I
do
think it's violist.
you call someone who
I think so.
plays viola? Violist. Okay, yes,
Okay.
violist. So if you ask anybody except for violists, they will say violin is better.
I,
But not.
yeah.
It's kind of a joke, but a lot of people do like violin better when
Yeah.
they're very similar. It's just they tend to play different music
The
because
higher
you
pitch.
also have like a fiddle too, which is like
Yeah.
kind of a violin, but just plays different
Mhm.
music.
Violins have kind of it depends on how you play it, obviously, but since it's a higher pitch, a lot of people play more somber songs when you're not in like an
Mhm.
orchestra or something. Because if you're just playing the violin, it'll be a more somber, sad sound. But a viola is more of a chipper sound, especially the fiddle. The fiddle is a very chipper sounding instrument just because it's a lot crisper of a sound, which is really cool.
And actually, the viola is bigger, so it's
Hmm.
more difficult to play. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. This isn't like this is kind of the way that I think of it. Um so you have four types of like singing pitches, I guess you could say. Like you have soprano, right? And then you have alto and tenor and bass. Okay. So in the case of string instruments, you could say that the violin is the soprano of that class. And then
Slash alto, kind of. Yeah.
yeah. And then the viola is the alto, right? And
Slash
then
almost tenor. Like it's kind of
yeah.
a. It's like with. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt,
Slash
but
tenor.
it's kind
No.
of like like with saxophones, they're kind of
It's like an
slightly.
in-between thing.
They're like yeah,
That's why I said like,
because
this isn't like
because
fully
there's only like
100%. This is just how I think of it.
yeah. It's true though.
Yeah. And then the cello is more of like a low tenor getting into bass, and then the bass is bass. Like it's bass.
Yes. Bass.
Because you know I'm all about the bass.
No, no, no copyright. No,
No treble.
no
I
trouble.
just treble, treble, treble.
No trouble. I changed the lyrics for your sake.
Yeah, but if you say treble, it'll be copyright. But treble, it won't be because that's just a
Well,
random
I
version.
think no. I think okay. All about that.
No triple. There we go. That's not even
Yes,
a thing. So
yes.
we saved
It
ourselves,
is. It
guys.
does say no treble
What?
because yes,
There's a treble and bass version for like fifth graders
I'm
when
all about that bass. About that bass. No treble.
they're
I see the magazines
no
working that
treble.
Photoshop. We know it ain't real. No.
The funny thing about that song is it doesn't have a lot of bass anyways. A lot of it
It's
is
literally,
treble.
yeah. I'm pretty sure well, there is some bass, but like
Yeah.
when it's like I'm all about that, that's not in bass. But I
Yeah.
think it's meant to be that way. It's just meant to be kind of catchy, you know what I mean?
Just like a fun song. So
Also kind
yeah,
of
I guess it makes sense.
suggestive, but
Yeah.
anyways, back to basics. Um, I'd say one other interesting thing about viola slash violin slash both is that usually violin is what you would classify as a fiddle, like when you're playing music that needs a fiddle, and then a viola would just be a viola most, if not all of the time.
Hmm.
But you need both to have a good orchestra. You
It's
need
true.
all the instruments.
You need that crisp quality sound. It's a must-have.
You need a symphony.
Oh,
That's an orchestra
you
and a
need a
band.
symphony to
I
make
think.
harmony.
Yes.
It's magic.
Let's see. Oh yes. Okay, wait. And then if you add on top of that some vocals, like a choir, you got
Oh yeah.
band, orchestra, and choir all together.
Now
Now
that's
that,
harmony.
yes. Especially if you sing like what's a good song they'd sing?
Um,
The Halo theme.
if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. That's
Just
that's not copyright, right? Like that can't be. There's no way it is.
maybe.
Uh,
Let's find out.
uh, that's right. Uh, uh, it's scary. Happy birthday.
No, wait. Okay, you ready for this?
Hmm.
Where did it say? It said it. The song you cited. Okay, if you're happy and you know it is under copyright.
What?
The title,
What the
underlying
heck?
melody, and some of its well-known lyrics are not. So it depends on what, like,
What the heck? That's so
um,
weird.
there's different versions of it are copyrighted. So you gotta be careful.
Oh,
We're just trying to be careful with, you don't want to get like, I don't know, podcast removed.
yeah.
Only seeing stuff that's not copyrighted or that we have rights to.
I don't think we have rights to anything.
Well, the only songs we have rights to are the ones that we'll play, well, that we've, yes, that
Yeah,
we use in our podcast for
yeah,
intros and
those we
stuff.
have access to.
That is Epidemic Sound is a beast.
Oh, it's the best. Well, that sounds like it's mostly it for violins and violas as a combo.
Yes, tag
So,
team.
tag team.
Luchador violin.
Ah, luchador viola. Okay.
So yeah, that's everything I have.
Same. Okay. Now, are you ready for the most amazing, most incredible instrument in the world?
It's mean, not green, and a fighting machine.
It's loud, it's proud, and it wants to be heard.
It's the cannon,
Mm-hmm.
the the number one instrument. Like that you fire cannonballs out of off of a pirate
Yep.
ship. That cannon.
We are not kidding. We would never kid about this.
This is an instrument.
And it is the best instrument.
It tops every single instrument. Name an instrument, cannon will beat it. Cannon can outplay it.
Yep.
The amount
Literally
of
can
sheer
outplay it
power.
because one shot from that cannon and your instrument is toast.
And you're dead. And
Exactly.
everyone in the audience is blown away. And you can use a cannon without a cannonball. So you could just have a blank shot that's just the sheer power of the cannon.
Literally. It'll make the sound and it'll boom. And it smells beautiful after too. Just the
Yes.
gunpowder and the smoke.
Burning fire flames.
It will blow you away.
And if you're not convinced yet that cannon is the best instrument, then I don't know, should we start like a petition or like a a
Let's
political
let's
group or
start a
something.
let's
Start.
start. We should put like a poll on Facebook, on our Facebook page.
Yes,
Is the canon the best instrument?
and we will also see if there's a possibility in starting a canon appreciation society.
Yes.
Yeah,
For the best
maybe maybe
instrument,
just an
obviously.
maybe just an honorary thing, you know, if you want to say
Yeah.
you're I'm a member of the Canon Appreciation Society for the canon getting what it deserves. Now,
We know the true best instrument, the canon.
say what you will about any other instrument. Now, yes, maybe controversial. You may hate us now. You may want to stop listening since we just bashed on every other instrument.
But
But
it's true.
the canon can fix that. It fixes all your problems.
It does. It makes you
If you
happy.
if you're really just done listening to contention and fighting and yelling, just blow out your eardrums with a cannon.
I'm just picturing like the Canon Appreciation Society making like, I don't know, some advertisement or like commercial on TV, and it just comes on and it's like, "Are you sick and tired of all these really annoying instruments? Do you want something better with your life? Then come down and join the Canon or the Canon Appreciation Society." I almost said administration because I was thinking of other. I held myself back. I don't
Yes.
know why I wanted to say administration
What
instead of
about the
just
the Canon Administration for the Canon Appreciation Society of Canon Appreciators? That
there we
is,
go.
yes, that's the official title of the
Ka ka ka.
administration. If they even need administrators, like, what would they do? Appreciate
I don't even
cannons?
know. If you want to hear a really beautiful song that actually the original version did have cannons in as an instrument, 1812 Overture.
Tchaikovsky, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a
However you
Tchaikovsky.
spell his name. T
TCACH.
T C H A I K O V S K Y. But his first and second,
Yeah, it's
or his
it's
first and middle name, just
you don't even need to know it.
he's Russian, but he's
Yeah.
cool. He's good Russian. Not that Russians are bad, but
Yeah.
the
He's cool.
Presidente. I think we
So
can all agree.
this is true. This is true.
But yeah, he's composed a lot of really famous pieces that are like really well known and
Hmm.
really, really good. Like Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy is a very well known one.
Oh, it's an
The
incredible song.
Nutcracker, those are both ones that you would
Very
very
iconic.
easily recognize, like the seasons. There's a lot of other symphonies that I think if you heard them, you could recognize them. They just don't really have a memorable name. It's just Symphony Number Two.
Yeah. Like actually. So
But yeah,
well,
so
there you have it.
and
The best
we're
instrument.
we're slightly joking with the cans, but they are the best instruments.
Yeah. They are incredible.
Don't blow out your eardrums. Just don't do that. That's a
Just
terrible
listen to the
idea.
beautiful, crisp sound of a cannon, and you'll know.
And you know what? We'll add a cannon sound effect once again at the end of this. And along with that, we're gonna play a song at the end since this is all about music. You
We
can
have
listen to
to.
the song, hear a song maybe you haven't heard before, see if you like it, and that's about it. So, as always, stay random.
Stay random.